Did you know that more than 1 in 4 adults over the age of 60 are living with prediabetes, and many don't even know it? Even more concerning, nearly 30–40% of seniors worldwide are either diabetic or at high risk of developing it. Blood sugar issues don't happen overnight. They build slowly through daily habits, hidden sugars, poor sleep, and surprisingly, even the way you drink your coffee. Yes, coffee. If you're a senior or if you love someone who is, this video could genuinely change how you start your morning and possibly change the direction of your health entirely. Stay with me because by the end of this, you'll know exactly what mistakes to avoid and exactly how to turn your daily cup of coffee into one of the most powerful tools you have against diabetes and high blood sugar. Let's start with the numbers because the numbers are serious and they matter especially if you're over 60. According to the International Diabetes Federation, over 537 million adults worldwide are currently living with diabetes. That number is expected to rise to 783 million by 2045. That's nearly 1 in every 8 people on the planet. Now, here's the part that doesn't get talked about enough. Seniors are the most vulnerable group. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reports that nearly 29% of Americans over the age of 65 have diabetes. That's more than 1 in 4 seniors. And what's even more alarming is that a huge number of them don't even know it yet. But diabetes doesn't just appear overnight. It creeps in slowly through years of blood sugar spikes, insulin resistance, and lifestyle habits that most people never think twice about. Here's another number. 96 million Americans, that's 1 in 3 adults, have prediabetes, where blood sugar is higher than normal but not yet in the diabetic range, and a staggering 80% of them don't know they have it. Now, what does all of this have to do with coffee? More than you might think. Research published in the Annals of Internal Medicine found that people who drank 4 or more cups of coffee per day had a significantly lower risk of developing type 2 diabetes compared to non-coffee drinkers. A large-scale review of 28 studies found that both caffeinated and decaffeinated coffee were associated with reduced diabetes risk. But, and this is a very important but, how you drink your coffee can completely flip those benefits into harm. That's what this video is about, the mistakes and the solutions. Let's get into it. Mistake 1. Loading coffee with sugar. This one seems obvious, but you'd be shocked at how many people, especially seniors, are unknowingly consuming enormous amounts of sugar with every single cup. It doesn't always look like spoonfuls of white sugar. It hides in flavored creamers, in coffee syrups, in sweetened milk, in store-bought bottled coffees, and in those delicious-sounding cafe drinks like caramel macchiatos and vanilla lattes. Let's put this in perspective. A standard flavored creamer, just 2 tablespoons, can contain 5 grams of sugar or more. If you're having 2 or 3 cups of coffee a day and pouring in a generous splash each time, you could easily be adding 30 to 50 grams of sugar to your body before you've even had breakfast. That's a blood sugar disaster. For seniors, this is especially dangerous because as we age, our pancreas becomes less efficient at producing insulin. Our cells become more resistant to it. So when sugar floods the bloodstream from a cup of coffee, the body doesn't handle it as gracefully as it did at 30. And here's something most people don't think about. Even natural sweeteners like honey or agave nectar raise blood sugar. Honey has a glycemic index that is only slightly lower than table sugar. Agave, while marketed as healthy, is extremely high in fructose, which, over time, can contribute to insulin resistance and fatty liver disease. The mistake isn't just the sugar itself, the mistake is thinking a little sweetness can't hurt. For a senior with borderline blood sugar, it absolutely can. Mistake 2. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach. First thing in the morning. This is probably the most widespread coffee mistake among seniors, and one of the most damaging. Many older adults wake up, skip or delay breakfast, and immediately reach for a cup of coffee. It feels natural, it feels like routine, but here's what's actually happening inside the body. When you wake up in the morning, your body is already in a state of mild cortisol elevation. Cortisol is the wake-up hormone. It's part of what naturally rouses you from sleep. Cortisol also raises blood sugar because it's designed to give your body quick energy. Now, when you drink coffee on an empty stomach, you're stimulating even more cortisol release. Caffeine directly triggers the adrenal glands to pump out cortisol. So your blood sugar, which was already naturally elevated from the morning cortisol rise, spikes even higher. At the same time, coffee on an empty stomach irritates the stomach lining, increases stomach acid, and can cause digestive distress. For seniors, this can lead to acid reflux, bloating, and nausea, symptoms that are often brushed off as just part of getting older. But more critically for blood sugar, when there's no food in the system to buffer it, caffeine hits harder and faster. The resulting cortisol surge causes blood glucose to jump. And for a senior with insulin resistance or prediabetes, that spike takes much longer to come back down. Over time, repeated morning blood sugar spikes, day after day, year after year, contribute to chronic hyperglycemia, wear down the pancreas, and push the body closer and closer toward a diabetes diagnosis. The fix is simple, but we'll get to that in the second half of this video. Mistake. 3. Drinking coffee late in the day and disrupting sleep. Here's a mistake that most people don't connect to blood sugar at all, but the science is clear. Many seniors drink coffee in the afternoon or evening. Maybe it's a social habit, coffee with friends after lunch, a cup after dinner, or simply reaching for it when energy dips in the mid-afternoon. It feels harmless. But poor sleep and disrupted sleep, even just one night, has a direct and measurable effect on blood sugar. Studies have shown that sleep deprivation, even a reduction of just 1 to 2 hours per night, significantly reduces insulin sensitivity. In other words, your cells don't respond as well to insulin, and blood sugar stays elevated longer. And here's the problem with caffeine and seniors specifically. As we age, our bodies metabolize caffeine more slowly. A younger person might clear caffeine from their system in 4 to 5 hours. For many seniors, it can take 7 to 10 hours or longer, especially if they have any liver or kidney function concerns or take certain medications. This means that a cup of coffee at 2 or 3 p.m. can still be interfering with your sleep at midnight. You might not feel wired, but caffeine is subtly blocking the adenosine receptors in your brain that signal deep restorative sleep. Less deep sleep means more cortisol. More cortisol means higher blood sugar. And a cycle of poor sleep, elevated stress hormones, and rising blood sugar is one of the most underappreciated pathways to diabetes in older adults. If you're a senior and you're struggling with blood sugar and you're also drinking afternoon coffee, don't underestimate this connection. Mistake. 4. Using artificial sweeteners and thinking they're safe. This one is a modern trap, and it's captured millions of well-meaning, health-conscious seniors. When people are warned about sugar in coffee, the most common response is, "Oh, I switched to artificial sweeteners. I use Splenda or Sweeten Low or Equal. 0 calories, so it's fine, right?" Not exactly. Here's what the research is revealing, and this has been a major shift in the nutrition science world over the last decade. Artificial sweeteners, including sucralose, aspartame, saccharin, and acetylsulfame potassium, do not raise blood sugar in the traditional sense. That part is true, but they do something potentially more insidious. They alter the gut microbiome. The gut microbiome, the trillions of bacteria living in your digestive system, plays a massive role in regulating blood sugar, inflammation, and insulin sensitivity. Studies published in leading journals, including Nature, have found that certain artificial sweeteners actually impair glucose tolerance by disrupting the balance of gut bacteria. In plain English, even though the sweetener has no calories, it may be damaging the very biological system that controls your blood sugar response. Additionally, artificial sweeteners can maintain or intensify sugar cravings, making it harder to resist sweet foods throughout the day, which ultimately leads to higher sugar intake, not lower. For seniors whose gut microbiome is already more vulnerable to disruption due to age, medication use, and dietary changes, this is a particularly important warning. 0 calorie does not mean 0 harm. Mistake. 5. Drinking too much coffee and triggering chronic stress hormones. We live in a culture that treats caffeine overconsumption as perfectly normal, or even a badge of honor. "I can't function without my 3 cups," is something people say with a laugh. But for seniors, excess caffeine is genuinely dangerous for blood sugar regulation. Here's the mechanism. Every cup of coffee raises cortisol and adrenaline, the 2 primary stress hormones. In small amounts, this is stimulating and even protective. But when caffeine consumption is excessive, say 4, 5, or 6 cups a day, cortisol levels stay chronically elevated. Chronically elevated cortisol raises blood sugar by triggering the liver to release stored glucose, promotes belly fat accumulation, and belly fat is directly linked to insulin resistance, suppresses the immune system, increases inflammation throughout the body, disrupts sleep quality, which, as we just discussed, raises blood sugar further. For seniors, the adrenal glands are often already under strain from years of stress, medication use, and the natural physiological changes of aging. Bombarding them with excessive caffeine on a daily basis compounds the problem significantly. There's also a medication interaction concern here that far too many seniors ignore. Common medications taken by older adults, including certain blood pressure drugs, thyroid medications, and osteoporosis treatments, can interact with caffeine in ways that alter heart rate, blood pressure, and yes, blood sugar levels. More coffee does not equal more benefit. There is a sweet spot, and going beyond it actively works against your health. All right, now that we know what not to do, let's talk about what to do, because coffee, done right, can genuinely be one of your best allies in preventing diabetes and keeping blood sugar stable. Let's walk through the perfect coffee protocol for seniors, step by step. Step 1, have food first. Always. The single most important change you can make is this: never drink coffee on an empty stomach. Before you have your first cup in the morning, eat something. It doesn't need to be a full meal. Even a small protein-based snack, a handful of almonds, a hard-boiled egg, a small serving of Greek yogurt, is enough to buffer the cortisol response from caffeine. When there's food in the stomach, particularly protein and fat, the coffee hits the system more slowly and gently. Blood sugar remains stable. The cortisol spike is blunted. Your gut lining is protected. Ideally, wait 60 to 90 minutes after waking before having your coffee. This allows your natural cortisol levels to peak and begin declining, so that the additional cortisol from caffeine isn't added on top of an already elevated baseline. This simple timing shift can have a remarkable effect on your energy stability and blood sugar throughout the entire day. Step 2. Drink it black. Or with these healthy additions, black coffee is genuinely one of nature's most powerful functional beverages. It is loaded with antioxidants called chlorogenic acids, which have been shown to slow glucose absorption in the intestines, reduce inflammation, and improve insulin sensitivity. It also contains magnesium and chromium, two minerals that are directly involved in insulin function. If you can learn to enjoy black coffee, that is the gold standard. But if the taste is too strong, here are senior-friendly additions that will not raise blood sugar. Unsweetened almond milk or oat milk. Choose unsweetened versions. Read the label. A sprinkle of cinnamon. Cinnamon has been shown in multiple studies to improve insulin sensitivity and lower fasting blood sugar, coconut oil, or MCT oil. Healthy fats that slow digestion and provide sustained energy without spiking blood sugar. A pinch of cardamom, used for centuries in traditional medicine and shown to have anti-inflammatory and blood sugar stabilizing properties. Unsweetened cocoa powder, rich in flavonoids that support cardiovascular and metabolic health. What to avoid? Flavored creamers, condensed milk, sugar, honey, agave, artificial sweeteners, and any pre-made coffee drinks from cafes or bottles unless you've verified they contain zero added sugar. Step 3, limit to 1 to 2 cups per day and time them wisely. For seniors, the research points to an optimal range of 1 to 2 cups of coffee per day for blood sugar benefits. Beyond that, the cortisol-raising and sleep-disrupting effects begin to outweigh the antioxidant benefits. Timing matters enormously. Here's the ideal schedule. First cup, 60 to 90 minutes after waking, with or just after breakfast. Second cup, if desired, no later than noon, ideally by 11 a.m. By cutting off coffee consumption at noon, you give your body a full 12 hours or more to clear the caffeine before your typical bedtime. This protects sleep quality, which, as we've established, is directly tied to blood sugar regulation. If you love the ritual of a warm beverage in the afternoon or evening, switch to herbal teas. Cinnamon tea, chamomile, ginger tea, or green tea, which contains L-theanine, a calming amino acid, are all excellent blood sugar friendly. Step 4. Consider switching to half-calf or decaf. Many seniors, particularly those who are sensitive to caffeine, take medications, or have heart conditions, would benefit from switching to half-caffeinated or decaffeinated coffee. Here's the empowering news. Studies have shown that decaf coffee provides many of the same blood sugar benefits as regular coffee. The chlorogenic acids, the antioxidants, the anti-inflammatory compounds, most of these are not in the caffeine. They're in the coffee bean itself. So you can get the protective benefits against diabetes without the cortisol spikes, the heart palpitations, and the sleep disruption that comes with full caffeine. When choosing decaf, look for Swiss water processed decaffeinated coffee, which removes caffeine using only water, no chemical solvents. This preserves more of the beneficial antioxidants and avoids any chemical residue. Step 5. Pair your coffee habit with these daily blood sugar habits. Coffee is one piece of the puzzle. For seniors who want to genuinely prevent diabetes and maintain excellent blood sugar control, it works best as part of a broader daily protocol. Here are the complementary habits that make the biggest difference. Walk after meals. Even a 10 to 15-minute gentle walk after breakfast or lunch can reduce post-meal blood sugar spikes by up to 30%. Muscles absorb glucose during movement, reducing the burden on insulin. This is one of the most powerful and most underused tools a senior has. Prioritize protein at breakfast. Starting the day with protein, eggs, Greek yogurt, cottage cheese, nuts, creates a stable blood sugar foundation that makes your morning coffee work with your body rather than against it. Stay hydrated. Dehydration concentrates blood sugar. Seniors are particularly prone to chronic low-level dehydration, and many mistake thirst for hunger or fatigue. Drink a full glass of water before your morning coffee. Sleep 7 to 8 hours. We've covered this. Sleep is non-negotiable for blood sugar. If coffee has been interfering with your sleep, the tips in this video will already help. But also consider your sleep environment, stress levels, and screen time before bed. Manage stress. Chronic psychological stress raises cortisol just like caffeine does. Practices like deep breathing, gentle yoga, prayer, meditation, or even spending time in nature have measurable effects on lowering cortisol and stabilizing blood sugar. Let's bring it all together. Coffee is not your enemy. In fact, when consumed correctly, it is one of the few everyday beverages that science consistently associates with a lower risk of type 2 diabetes. But the way most seniors drink coffee, it quietly and consistently works against blood sugar control. Through hidden sugars, poor timing, too much caffeine, artificial sweeteners, and disrupted sleep. Here's your simple summary. The 5 mistakes to stop making. 1. Adding sugar or sweetened creamers to your coffee. 2. Drinking coffee on an empty stomach first thing in the morning. 3. Having coffee in the afternoon or evening and disrupting sleep. 4. Relying on artificial sweeteners and thinking they're safe. 5. Drinking too many cups and keeping cortisol chronically elevated. The perfect coffee protocol for seniors. 1. Always eat something before your first cup. 2. Drink it black or with blood sugar-friendly additions like cinnamon or unsweetened plant milk. 3. Limit yourself to 1 to 2 cups per day, both before noon. 4. Consider switching to half calf or Swiss water decaf. 5. Pair your coffee habit with walking, good sleep, hydration, and a protein-rich breakfast. These aren't dramatic changes. They're small, sustainable shifts. But over weeks and months, they add up to something powerful. Stable energy, better blood sugar numbers, and meaningful protection against one of the most prevalent chronic diseases of our time. You have more control over your health than you think, and it can start tomorrow morning with the way you make your coffee. If this video helped you, share it with a family member or friend who might need to hear it. And if you're serious about protecting your blood sugar, speak with your doctor about getting a fasting glucose test and an HbA1c level checked. Knowledge is the first step. Take care of yourselves. Your health is worth every small intentional choice you make each day.